And this next honoree is kind of personal for me too, because as a young math teacher starting out in Lorain in 1984, there were people that I looked up to and wanted to be like. And Harvey Herman was one of those people. Harvey Herman originated from Cincinnati area. He graduated from Lorain High School in Hamilton County, Ohio in 1956, where he earned 10 varsity letters plus 4 academic letters. After graduation, Harvey attended The Ohio State University and played varsity football under Woody Hayes. Boys, he got some stories. The team won a national championship in 1957. He earned his Bachelor of Science in Education in December of 1959 and then continued his education at Xavier University, earning a master's degree in guidance counseling. He later enrolled in classes at Baldwin Wallace College to earn his certificate in administration. Harvey's extensive career includes teaching at Northridge School in Montgomery County as a math teacher from 59 to 60, teaching math and science plus coaching for the Princeton School District from 60 to 63, and then spent his remaining career with Lorain City Schools from 1964 to 1991. His tenure in Lorain provided Harvey with a multitude of experiences, beginning at Lorain High School, where he taught math and coached football. Then he was a math teacher and the first head coach for Southview when it opened in 1969, and continued his career as a guidance counselor at Whittier Junior High and Admiral King. At AK, he was the minority counselor. After retirement, he tutored math at Southview High School to help students pass state tests. He also worked as an administrator from 93 to 95 at the Harrison Alternative Academy. He served as an evaluator for Lorain School's bilingual bicultural education project and spoke at a National Association of Bilingual Education conference in 1980 in Los Angeles. Harvey wrote a remedial math textbook that was adopted by Lorain schools and used in the developmental math program. He also created a geometry honors summer school program in 1981, allowing honors math students to take an additional high-level math course. He taught the program for 10 years. Some of Harvey's special memories of teaching in Lorain are having his first All-Ohio football player at Lorain High, Tom LaForce, who went on to play at the Naval Academy, teaching several students who scored 800 in math on the SAT. That's the top. Southview beating Admiral King in 1970 when he coached, tutoring after retirement at Southview, and helping all the kids pass their math proficiency. Harvey resides in Amherst with his wife Jan. On August 3rd, they will have been married for 59 years. Their 2 children, Douglas, his wife Karen, and Becky, husband Mark, are honor graduates of Admiral King High School. Douglas is project manager for Rolls-Royce in Indianapolis, and Becky teaches math. Gee, I wonder where that came from. And volunteers as a docent at St. Mary's City. They have 4 grandsons and 1 granddaughter. One of the grandsons is a 3rd generation math teacher. Please welcome my friend Harvey Herman to the Lorain Alumni Association Distinguished Hall of Fame.
Thank you very much to the Lorain School Alumni Association for this very wonderful award. Thank you very much also to Sue Bailika for her constant help in communicating back and forth. With me today to celebrate this award are my wife Jan, as Jay just said, you'll soon be married 59 years, and to tell you the last 10 have been exceptionally difficult for her, as I've been very limited in my vision. Also with us are Admiral King graduates, my children Doug and Becky. Doug here with his wife Karen from Fishers, Indiana. Becky here with her husband Mark from Leonardtown, Maryland. Also 3 of the grandchildren, Andrew, the math teacher in Nashville, Tennessee. David in business from Carmel, Indiana, and Brent in business from Florida. Also, I want to thank my good friend Bob Jones and my brother-in-law Don Ramsey, who prepared my nomination form, my sister-in-law Marcia, and niece and nephew Nicole and Todd. A quick disclaimer, if I get to talk to any of you afterwards, please identify yourself by name. I, now legally blind, have been for 10 years and have not been able to recognize anybody by vision since then, and I would like very much to get to talk with many of you. Nobody goes into teaching hoping to win an award. The goal is always to help students, whether it's to achieve goals that they already have or to help set goals, or simply to prepare the student for the life beyond formal education. It's always about helping the student. My career in Lorain, as Jay said, spanned 27 years of full-time and another 7 of part-time. And those 27 years were spent basically at 4 buildings. The original Lorain High School, Southview, Whittier, and Admiral King High School. And those 4 buildings and schools have some common thread that runs through them very clearly. They've all been demolished. But remembrances of buildings are not in bricks and mortar, they're in the people, be they students, be they fellow faculty members, or events that happen during those schools. And I want to recall just a couple. One was in my first year here in 1964. I had an Algebra 1 honors class, 25 bright, hardworking youngsters, and you just knew they were going to be successful, you just didn't know in what. And who was to know that sitting in that class was a young man who eventually became a longtime Lorain City police chief, the recently deceased Sel Rivera. Also in that class, the multi-term Lorain County coroner, Dr. Steve Evans. Successful, you knew, you just didn't know in what field. The Lorain High days were most wonderful, outstanding students, outstanding programs. It was just a really enjoyable place to be. Went to Southview in '69 when it opened. As you may recall, it opened with just freshmen, sophomores, and juniors. And that enjoyable time got brought to a quick cease when the first couple football games were scores of like 50-0, and we didn't have the 50. But that kind of turned around in 1970. The juniors and seniors that year, hardworking kids who had been sophomores and juniors the year before and battle tested, added by a few sophomores. That one wonderful evening in September, when the game ended, the final score on the George Daniel Field scoreboard was Admiral King 8. No, it was Admiral King 7, Southview 8. And as unbelievable as it was probably the most significant victory in the history of Southview High School. Another interesting thing happened though at Southview, going back to our students. I was up there one day slaving away, hammering at the students about some mathematical property, and a young man raised his hand and said to me, "Mr. Herman, I know this math stuff's really important to you and you really want us to learn it. But all I have to do is pass this course and I'll graduate. When I graduate, I'm going to go work at the mill. My dad works there, my brothers work there, my uncles work there. And in 5 years, I'm going to make more money than you are." Well, I don't know what that young man's paycheck was in 5 years, But it did emphasize the point that in teaching, when a student has a goal, one of our goals is now to help that student make that goal, which the student did, I'm happy to say. In the interest of time, we'll slide on to the Admiral King days. And Admiral King in the 80s was an interesting place. Academically, a whole lot of things happened. The addition of the second-year chemistry class to help science-bound students. The addition of the geometry honors, as Jay recognized, to give math students chances to take more mathematics. The introduction of a full calculus class in the 85-86 school year, and then beyond. And those changes were made mainly because of teacher push and former students coming back and saying, these are the things we think you need to do. Also, there were the first courses that got dual credit, both high school credit and Lorain County community credit in that time. And the influx of computers became very great, not only in the academic area, but in the vocational areas, in the business division, and in the mechanical division with the computer-aided design courses. So things were changing rapidly, and Admiral King at that time, there were numerous championships in tennis, football, referred back to Brian and his 109-yard run at Sandusky for a great victory over Sandusky. And the multi-championships in the basketball program and the trips to the Final Four. Admiral King was kind of an interesting place. And the successes there have carried over into the Lorain City schools. So in conclusion, I'd say that as an old Buckeye, as Jay has told you about my background, an event happened in 1993 back at the big horseshoe down in Columbus that is very memorable to me and I think to the Lorain people once you know about it. In 1993, in an October afternoon, Michigan State came to town. And starting at right tackle for Michigan State was an Admiral King graduate, Brian DeMarco. Starting at tailback for Ohio State was an Admiral King graduate, Raymond Harris. Raymond was a pretty much star that day, made over 100 yards rushing and scored the winning touchdown in the fourth quarter. Now both of those young men went on to find NFL careers. Brian's now a businessman in Texas, Raymond an executive in the Ohio State Athletic Department. The significance of that was that that is the last time, and now close to 30 years, that two Lorain school products have started in a Big Ten football game on opposing teams. It happened only a couple times previous to that from 1960 on. And it certainly made an old coach and mentor sitting up in the stands exceptionally proud of their accomplishments and being exceptionally proud of the accomplishments of all the students that we had opportunities to teach. So again, I say thank you very much to the Lorain School Alumni Association for this very wonderful award. And I accept it basically in the interest of all the faculty members I had the opportunity to work with. So many of them either equally or much greater qualified for an award than I am. Thank you very much.
One of my fondest memories is a lunch after a rather lengthy, boring meeting where Harvey sat with Barry Buck and myself and explained to us how Woody Hayes taught the off-tackle lead, and he had us rolling on the floor.